Hey everybody, JMac here, automating, automating a lot of stuff. I wanted to keep the Wednesday live stream, like I said. I forgot to schedule this one, so we'll see if anybody joins live. But hey, I was just gonna patch a bunch of Laravel Shift, the 10.x, which was officially released yesterday. I was gonna patch a bunch of bugs for that have come in, user reported stuff, some stuff that I knew was maybe, I was unsure about, wanted to see in the final release. So we'll see if I can get a couple of these patched. So as you can see on my crazy screen right now, I'm downloading some stuff and formatting some files in my test fixtures. So we'll give this another few seconds to run. Hey Bernard, how's it going? Okay, cool. That's done. All right, so let's get into a couple things here. So first things first, I have this core files task, and one of the things this does, let's get to the test. I mapped a bunch of key things here. Here we go. Nope, that's not it. It's supposed to be that, I thought. No, it's not. Is it that? There it is. This one, yeah. All right, let's copy this and see if it'll actually run locally for me. Laravel versions text is not expanded. Why wouldn't you have been expanded? What do you mean you don't exist? You should exist. You do exist. What's your problem? Oh, I know what the problem is. If we go to PHP unit, rxml, yeah, there we go. That is not the right path. That's probably fine. I think when I'm running this locally, let's get the working directory. I don't think that had a trailing slash on it. All right, let's see if this works. Let's try this again. It's doing something. What is it doing is the question. Okay, that seems better. That's actually a failure, so that's good. Okay, so let's go look at kind of how I have this set up, and I'll kind of bring you up to speed a little bit, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. I've talked about this earlier in other streams, but basically all of Shift is kind of this like pipe and filter or chain of responsibility. It's basically this pipeline of a bunch of tasks, and each task performs, kind of an individual piece of automation. They're loosely lined up to the atomic commits that you will see in the PRs. So this, for example, is the core files task, and you'll see that it performs things to, various core files that are inside of like the Laravel skeleton application. So it does all sorts of different things. But one of the things that I'm testing with, or testing for, is I noticed that kind of late in the game, the HTTP kernel had some quick changes to it. So I want to get those fixed. So if we look at it adds types to core files, that's the test that's failing. So if we go down to it adds type to core files, I would not have expected it to do anything with the HTTP kernel here. Failed asserting that two strings are equal. Line 85, okay. Line 85. Yeah, where is that even being used? It's not even set up here. Let's see where this is getting used. I think this is just a bad test. Yeah, okay, it is a bad test. See you later. All right, so let's get rid of that. So that actually seems to work. Let's see if this passes. If it does, there's another file that I think I want to change. Nope, still a little bit of an issue. It adds types to core files. Why? Why is it checking the HTTP kernel here? It should only be checking it up top. What is your dilly, yo? Where are you? Okay. It adds types to core files. Is it still line 85? That seems wrong, because I just removed line 85. Maybe I didn't save it. Nope, it's still complaining about line 85. Why would you be that way? I deleted line 85. So it's not that. I've seen this before where like the tests get behind somehow. What was that? Test core files. Core files test. All right, I'm not gonna spend too much time on that one. It seems to be something weird that I'm just missing here. Let's do this though instead. Let's filter this. No test. Oh, well there we go. That's why we have an issue. Okay, let's let's start up here and actually turn these into tests. All right. Let's actually run all of the tests that I have in here, shall we? All right, let's try this again. Let's see if the upper ones fail. If so, I would expect, you know, some issues. So we're already getting some failures, and they seem to be failing on kind of a similar issue. Oh, it actually is, okay, so it patches. I'm not too worried about the patches of the kernel. And this looks like a white space issue. All right, so I think we can fix that. Let's go fix that. So if we go look at HTTP kernel, we have a line break there. That's good. So what I do is I basically have just a bunch of files. Yeah, see, it's missing the line break. Why wouldn't you save with a line break? Let's try that again. All right, we should only have 2 failures now. And the other one is the patch, which makes sense. So basically, I have the automation and I have these fixtures, which are the actual classes that come from Laravel. So for example, this custom HTTP kernel, if I can't simply patch it by updating the file directly, then I'll actually try to go in and change the lines kind of that matter. Now, one of the things here is that if we look at this diff, we'll see that it did a pretty good job, but it actually messed up a little bit. We don't have this doc block changed. Do I want to change it? Is kind of the question. And then this is customized, so that's not a huge deal. So let's go back. What is that? Signed. And this is an app. So we can change that back. So now it's just a matter of like, do I want to fix the doc blocks? I don't know. What do we think? Oh, app HTTP. Duh. All right, so that should be fixed. So now it's just a matter of the application's middleware aliases, the application's route middleware. Yeah. These middleware may be used. I think it probably makes sense to clean that up. I mean, I don't know why not, right? It's just a few lines of code. Let's fix it. So if we go down to core files with changes and we go down to the HTTP kernel, yeah, I mean, I think we can just do some good old string replacement there. That's not too hard. This is a good example of shift where string replacement is actually good enough, right? Like if we're taking this line, like if we find this exact line, you know, where else are you going to see that in the code, right? I don't know. I don't know where else you would see that in the code. If you saw it in multiple spots, then, you know, what's the big deal to change it in multiple spots, right? And then I'm not going to worry too much about this second one. I mean, I guess we have it, so like why not do it? But seems a little silly, but let's get it right. Let's get it right. All right, alias may be used to conveniently assign middleware to routes. Okay, that's the replacement. This is the original, so let's get the original here. Oh, PHP Storm. There you go. All right, and let's chop that off, and we should pass, which we do. Great. I still don't know why this is complaining about line 91, but let's go check it out. What's on line 91? This makes no sense. There's no... It adds types to core files. What? Why is it even testing? Am I crazy? Line 91 is kernel after. Did I like mess up this file? I must have messed up this file. Where is this? Core files. I did mess up this file. There you go. There's my answer, see? It's not a console kernel. Did the kernel actually change? I don't think the kernel changed in Laravel 10. Let's go out to laravel.com and documentation, prologue, upgrade. Let's go down to this. I don't think the console kernel changed. I think I just named something wrong in my test cases. Console kernel. No, it did. I mean, I guess it did with the voids. Seems a little weak sauce, but we can fix that. Let's fix it. So this should really be copy-f on resources, Laravel 5 expanded, app console kernel. Let's just take like 9.1 dot, what else do we have? 9.1.18, let's say, just for variance. And then let's output it over that. And then the dot after would be the 10.0 version. So this particular one is demonstrating that it just defaults files. So if it finds an older version that matches exactly, like you have not changed that file whatsoever, then it bumps it. So apparently I'd copy over the console kernel with the, what do you call it, HTTP kernel. So anyway, it adds types to files, expected 0 comments, found 1. Okay, let's fix that. What is the comment that I leave in here? What comments do you get? Comment. Shift could not upgrade the following files. All right, let's see what it couldn't upgrade. So if I var dump shift comments, let's see what we get. There's probably a file that I don't get anything. Expected 0 comments, found 1. It adds, oh, the assertion's failing before my var dump. Woo! I'm hearing some comments. Let's see what's going on. Hey Samuel, how's it going? Adrian, what's up? Oh, Suri thinks I'm talking to her. I'm not. All right, what did it miss? Shift could not upgrade the following files since they differed. Okay, so this is an example of what you would get in the PR Why did it not like authenticate? Why did it not like authenticate? Do I use authenticate? I do. What's wrong with you? Middleware authenticate. So here's my core files. There's my core files. Do you not match? Why would you not match? Why does that not match? That's very strange. I tell you what, when in doubt, let's just copy it over again. So let's copy -f tests, or sorry, no, resources, Laravel 5 expanded. What is that? App HTTP middleware authenticate. And we have, oops, sorry, 9.0.7 maybe? Is that real? 9.1? Nah, that's too early. Let's take 9.1.10. Or no, maybe 9.3.5.6. All right, and then let's copy over that and see if we still fail. Maybe, maybe I just got a weird copy. No, it is not. It is not matching up for some reason. It's weird because it's saying, that's weird. Do I not? No, I do. It's saying that it matched. Oh, it doesn't match. Am I not matching against it? Middleware authenticate after. It is matching afterwards. Why is it getting put in my... That's strange. It's like it's always noting it. Why is it always noting it? Oh. I see. This is a good catch. This is why you write tests. Look at this. That's funny because I was noticing this in all my PRs and I was like, it's default. I've never changed that file. And here, this is why it's always telling you that it hasn't updated it. Here we go. Okay. It attempts to update it down here, and then it potentially updates it again in core files with changes. That's what's happening here. Huh, how could I prevent that? Okay, I think we've found the bug. I'm just thinking of the right solution here. Okay. What is the right solution? The right solution, if we loop over this and we can't upgrade the core file, we could compare it. We could compare it against, I wonder if this is just like out of order. I wonder if I should just like flip that. I think the test would end up passing. No, I see why that has to go second. Okay, that makes sense. I need to track which ones actually weren't able to be updated in the type hints first. So that's why that's happening first. So that's good that I have a failure the other way around. I think what I should probably do is just in here, just allow it to be bypassed. So I think I could just say if in array app HTTP middleware authenticate. So if that is in review files and it's not in the array that comes from what got saved out to shift. What do I call that? Yeah. Where are you? I call that shift shared data. Here we go. So if yeah, I got that backwards, but yeah. If it's not in the array, ooh, that's nasty. Okay. That's a big fat line. Let's just write it and get it to pass, and then I'll clean it up. Then, you know what? Let's just diff that out. So what this is really saying is, this is effectively saying if it claims that it isn't core, but it hasn't been put into the review type hints array, then we know that it got defaulted in the type hints method. That's basically what I'm saying here. The reason that it's not considered upgradable is because I basically took it to 10 and it's comparing against older versions of Laravel. It's not necessarily comparing to see if you match against 10 somehow. You could probably argue that that's a bug, maybe, in the upgrade, but I think that's something for another day. Let's see if this let's see if this passes first of all. Okay, it does. That's what's going on. I'm wondering if you could do something like really weird here where you said like array diff. If this is in array of the array diff of the review files, you know, yeah, you could look at like the intersection here and say like if that array, if that intersecting array contains this, you know, then move on. But yeah, I think it works. I think I'm just gonna leave it alone. It makes sense. Okay, the other thing I want to test here is the controller actually got changed. Laravel's like base controller class, if you will. And I think there's an opportunity to probably write some code there because I saw an issue with it. So let's change this and we'll make this app. I think I attempt to default the kernel or the controller. Yeah, I do. Okay. So let's copy this and we'll put this in here and let's say core files controller, and we'll do kind of the same dance we've been doing. Let's copy this over into, I don't think I already have a controller. No, I don't. Okay, so controller.php. And then let's copy over the after file into 10.0.0. All right, so we know from a default perspective that should work. Now what I want to do is I want to copy one of these, but I want to customize it a little bit. So let's copy like 0.1 and let's change this to .after, and then ultimately, oh wait, sorry, that needs to be before, not after. Controller, custom controller dot after, and this is custom controller after. I'm here in the chat. Let me finish what I'm on here and I will check it out. All right, so that is not the right file. Let's try this again. This is why I wanted to check. Maybe that's what everybody was griping about in the chat. Okay, let's start over here. This should be controller. No, controller's controller. Controller's controller. We'll get it right sooner or later. Controller, controller. There we go. And then same for the custom. I would want them both to end up looking the same. But now I want 9.1 to be the original file. And we'll clean that up a little bit. So we'll say controllers, controller, and we need to do the same thing but not custom. There we go. And let's do like 9 3.0. All right, let's clear all that noise out. Let's get the tests set up the right way. I think everybody listening in, cool. Yeah, shift it, man. Okay, there we go. Controller is correct. Okay, so if we go back to our tests, we can dump this in here and we'll call this controller. And then we basically replicate this and we would say controller after is equal to HTTP controllers controller. All right, so we should still be passing when I go way back up to my vendor bin. Okay, and again, this is just proving that an old default file is updated to a new default file. Great. Now, we can say it patches, we'll change this to it patches core files, and we'll kind of do the same approach here for this. So we'll just copy these two things, and we'll tweak this to be custom, customer, custom. And the next thing I want to do is I actually need to give this a little bit of variance on like why it would not get it right. So let's go to core files, and let's just do something like uses dispatch, and then uses dispatch. You know, some people, they like splitting those up, right? I think we could do something along those lines as kind of an example. And then the after would need to be uses that. Okay, let's see if this works. I don't think this is the one that I don't think works based on some feedback from yesterday. Yeah, so I'm already seeing a failure. And there we go. It expected that to be removed, but it's actually not. Okay, great. So let's see how this is actually handled in the code. So I probably have a special check to remove, yeah, there we go. So it removes the import and it removes the trait. My guess is remove trait does not work in that scenario. Let's see where add trait is. There it is. All right, so we got a string for trait and a string for path, I believe. Trait path, good. Okay, so we cleaned up the comment there. Let's go see how this utility helper works for remove trait. There it is. Okay, it does a Nikic parser. So it parses the class. It gets update class finder to return the line number of the trait. Yeah, okay, so it looks like I've got some to-dos here. Probably that's why this is failing. Good, great, okay. Here's my class. Let's var dump this class and see what we end up getting. So let's var dump class and see if there's an opportunity to get this to work. I think this is probably the last thing I'll fix on the stream because I'm hungry. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So it's finding the traits, which is good. It's interesting that it calls that dispatch jobs. Oh, ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I actually have a remove import here automatically as part of the trait. You know what I should do? I probably shouldn't be doing that. I probably should be doing this and just allowing it to work the right way. Yeah. That's a good one. Does add trait? Yeah, add trait adds the import. Okay, so that should be symmetrical. That is symmetrical. Okay, great. So I think if we run this again, we should see that it says illuminates dispatch bus now, which it does. Okay, so now I think the issue is exactly what that to-do comment said. We don't really have any line numbers that are kind of happening here. We're not even removing anything at all. So this is incomplete, completely incomplete. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay. So I probably need like a couple more test cases for this, but let's get into Class Finder and let's find traits. That is good. That is good. I don't know where I would use that. I'm trying to figure out how many places do I use this in code to where I could update it, you know, kind of the way I want, and it, you know, it be okay. Check trait. Array merges traits. I'm only using it in a few spots. I think it's probably worth updating everywhere. Most of those spots are in the utility helper, which I'm about to change anyway. So you're really only talking about two other places where I use traits, which is the pest converter, and it's in the same method. That's a very simple fix here. So I think it's probably okay to tweak this find traits method to kind of do what I want. Okay, so this finds the trait and it resolves the name in a very interesting way. I think what I would want to do here is probably turn this into kind of more of an array. So we could say this is like fully qualified class name, probably. And we're gonna need a bunch of other stuff here. So we're gonna do line, and we're gonna do offset, and then we're also gonna do kind of like the code name here, I think. Would I need that? I don't think I would need that. I don't know if I need that in code. I could get it from the offset. Well, I don't think it's going to hurt. Let's say trait to code string is the name. And then the fully qualified class name would be trait get attribute resolve name. So this resolve names and otherwise null. I think we don't have the fully qualified name. Expression not used anywhere. Well, yeah, that's because I've got the wrong syntax. All right, let's fix all our syntax here. Do I do anything else with line and offset here? I don't. What about line? Okay. Statement traits as trait. Statement traits. What is this? I think for this, I'm trying to figure out, I think I would probably just use, the way I do this is like there's a start state. Start and end is kind of the way I write that. And I basically am trying to figure out, should I use the trait get start line? Probably, yeah. And then trait get end line. And then I do the same for offset, I think. But this is really get start file position. And this is get end file position. And that can go away. Okay, so this is what I effectively want to return. If we run this again, we should see some better stuff in the class here. Yeah, so this is kind of what I want. I want to be able to say, you have another trait, and I should probably name that like the name, but that's okay. I'm going to leave that alone. So line 13, the offset is, the offset's going to be hard to read, but it seems to be working, and the fully qualified class name seems to be working as well, which is good. So now what we would want to do is we would basically need to search these traits, see what's there, and then I would need to determine, you know, is this the only thing on the line? This is really complex, actually. It really sucks because there's these really good parsers out there. Nikic parser, for example, wonderful, wonderful PHP parser, great for analyzing, you know, the syntax tree like this. I use it pretty extensively in Shift. There is not, however, a good like put Humpty Dumpty back together after I've manipulated the syntax tree. Nikic's parser kind of does it, but they'll claim in their documentation, like, or they'll kind of disclaim that it's experimental. And yeah, it's pretty experimental. Like, it works, but there's two problems with it. One, if it does work, right, it doesn't always work. So there's the first problem. Second problem is if it does work, it's going to reformat your code in a pretty unconventional way, possibly even removing comments depending on how you write them. And because of that, that's why you'll see in Shift that I end up using parsers a lot, but then I'll go back and do like some string manipulation because it gives you a higher fidelity of like what it preserves, I guess, integrity. It preserves kind of your code in a better way than if I would have rewritten it. You know, if everyone had a code formatter in their project and everyone followed the Laravel way, then I would probably just use Nikic's thing and then reformat your file after I changed it. But I haven't found a reliable kind of put the syntax tree back together, right? A outputter or a writer, an abstract syntax tree writer, if you will, or printer. Most really good parsers, you know, that's how they fix your code, is that they analyze it and then they kind of put it back together. But even if you look at something like PHP CS Fixer, they're actually kind of doing, they use Nikic parser, but they do a lot of stuff on top of it. There's a lot of code on top of it to get it to kind of print it back out the way you've defined in your rules. So anyway, okay, enough of that. Let's try to get this back maybe at least to where kind of where I have it. And maybe what I'll do is I'll write a unit test for remove trait, because I'm gonna need a lot more variance here to really test this out thoroughly. And as noted here, so we got that part. So now it's kind of like, if only the trait, then I would remove the whole line. That makes sense. Otherwise, we would remove the segment kind of based on where it is in the array. So first things first, I can't do in array traits anymore. So that's kind of part of the problem. So first of all, we're now going to need to loop over traits in kind of a more robust way. I don't think array search allows you to pass in. Does array search allow you to pass in a function? I always forget. It says mixed needle. Can you pass in a function? Needle. If needle is a string, the comparison is done in a case-sensitive manner. Okay. What if it's not a string? What if it's not a string? Can you pass in a function? A closure? Nope, I don't see closure on that page. I'm going to say you can't. You can, however, do that if I make it a collection. Yeah. If I make it a collection, we could probably do that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I think we're going to have to say trait equals, or well, we can't say trait. We're already using trait. We'll just call it found for now. We'll collect class traits, and I would want to say where, and probably pass it a function, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens here. So it's probably going to be like where first, actually. Is that? I always forget. Is that first where? Yeah, first where. Okay, and this will take a trait, and what we would need to do here is say if, then we would return. Do you return true? Yeah, I think you return true, right? Mixed or null. Return t value. I always forget what that means. I guess you return the trait. I mean, t value would, from a generics perspective, would mean you return the actual thing, I think. Okay, so let's return trait. And then, of course, ultimately, we would return null. We don't have to, but that's how it works. Let's var dump found, and I think once we find it, we'll stop there. Okay, so let's say class, or well, it would be trait fully qualified class name is equal to the trait that we pass in. So that's already a little bit messed up. All right, and then otherwise we could say something like if fully qualified class name is always going to have the slash in front of it, and I should always pass in the slash in front of it, which I don't. So we would want to normalize that. I would either want to normalize it by passing it in. Well, let's just do this. Let's just ltrim fully qualified class name from those is equal to the trait that we pass in. We're going to need to come up with a different name than trait. Yeah. I'm going to need to use trait. I don't want to change this for kind of compatibility, so like let's change this one. We'll just call this T for now. It's really gross. Let's just call it T for now to get it working. And then what we could do is say if if t name is equal to str after last on the trait that we pass in, I think subject, yeah, there we go. Okay, so if it's that, then we would return t. Now again, I need to write a bunch of test cases for this, but let's see if this finds what we want. And if so, then I think we'll kind of go from there. I couldn't really tell if it founded what we wanted. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Line 13 dispatches jobs. Okay, so is that correct? Let's go look at our custom controller. Line 13. Hey, there you go. Cool. Okay, so that works. Again, it needs some testing. I kind of just winged it, but basically what we're saying here is if the fully qualified class name matches exactly the trait that we passed in, then there's our trait and, you know, move on, right? Otherwise, if the name, the code name, the thing that they wrote, meaning this, matches after the last // so in our case, if we go back to core files, that would be dispatches jobs, right? After the last /. So that part, then we would consider it a match at that point. You're just kind of writing names. It would be impossible for your code to have a use statement for the particular thing you passed in without some kind of aliasing, right? In which case, if you aliased it, you know, Nickix parser is going to pick that up, you know, for the fully qualified class name, or this name would be different than what we passed in because we don't know what you're aliasing it as. So I think that's pretty fair. Again, I need to write some test cases for it, and then ultimately, of course, return null. So if it finds it, so here we would say, change that in array to basically if is null found. Again, that's kind of gross. We would return, just return, I think is what we said. Okay, and so now it's kind of the rest. Now we got to figure out, hey, if it's the only trait, then just see you later. The other thing would be like if trait is on its own line, that would be another one. So yeah, we could kind of go from there, right? So if it's found and traits are 0, then we would just kind of kill the line. If it's found and it lives on its own line, we kind of see that snippet of use whatever the code name was, you know, semicolon, then we could remove the whole line. So those are pretty straightforward. Those are kind of like remove whole line scenarios. And then finally, the tougher one would be an example of kind of the original controller. Hey, how do we remove it just from the middle, right, of that use statement? So that's where it gets a little weird because I got to get rid of, you know, commas and this and that. What if it's the first one? What if it's the last one? What if it's in the middle? So you can see all the test cases there that I need to end up writing, which it's probably going to take like 20 minutes just to write the test cases for that. But you can kind of see how Shift becomes as robust as it is from all of these little tedious things like this. But this is nice because this remove trait method, I can use this over and over and over in any task now, and I know it's reliable. So anytime in the future where Laravel removes or adds a trait, pretty straightforward stuff here. I just call one of these utility methods that I have in this like Shift facade. So, after 7 years of working on this, you can imagine how many, crazy little helper methods I have in there that I'm able to just call out and make Shift, which is a huge, ambitious, complex problem, make it a little easier, right? Make it achievable, if you will. So anyway, cool. All right, let's see here. Yeah. All right, Haas, looks like you got some specific stuff. Let's see comments here. All right, so Shift question. I have a feature that is in a feature branch and not yet merged. Is it really risky if I merge the main branch and merge the PR later, obviously merging main back in. Yeah, that's more of a Git thing. I mean, if that feature's pretty big and you changed a lot of files, just email support and I can rerun the shift for you. It's not a huge deal. But yeah, if it's just one or two changes, I mean, Git should be able to handle it. Whether you merge the feature branch into your shift branch and then merge that into main, or you merge the feature branch into main and then merge into shift. I mean, Git's going to tell you if you have any conflicts, with a specific file. So again, if it's not many files, Git might, or it's a pretty simple change, Git's probably going to figure it out. If you are getting a big old conflict, though, merge your feature branch into master and email support, and I'll reset it for you. Shift actually complained about one file when in fact it was identical. Hey, yeah, we just patched that on this stream. Awesome. Will this work with aliasing the traits? Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna write a bunch of test cases for this utility method where maybe dispatches jobs is aliased as like Laravel dispatches jobs. We'll see. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go write all those unit tests to make this happy. So, in the meantime, if you run the Laravel 10.x shift, probably in the next 4 hours of this recording of this live stream, you might see where your dispatches jobs trait is being left in your controller. So we'll see. But anyway, that's the bug that's going to get patched. So okay, cool. Again, thanks everybody for joining live, and I actually won't see you next week because I will be traveling to LairCon India. So definitely taking a week off next week and probably the following. So see you all in a few weeks.